From Africa to the world, tracing humanity's historical journey. Greetings, wise minds and seekers of truth. Imagine a time when the earth was untouched by human hands. No cities rose on the horizon, no empires wielded power, no laws were inscribed on tablets or scrolls. Yet, in the heart of Africa, the very first footsteps of humanity echoed across vast savannas, whispering the beginning of a story that would span millennia. Every human alive today, every language we speak, every culture we embrace, every civilization we build, traces its roots to this extraordinary continent. Africa is not merely a place on the map, it is the living cradle of humanity itself. Scientific discoveries, historical records, and careful scholarship all converge on a remarkable truth. Africa is the birthplace of modern humans. Sites such as the Omo Valley, the Great Lakes region, and the Ethiopian highlands are not just scenic landscapes, they are the homes of fossils and archaeological remains that anchor the earliest chapters of human existence. Here, our ancestors first stood upright, first walked across the earth with purpose, first discovered the power of fire, and first learned to communicate through language. Yuval Noah Harari emphasizes that Homo sapiens emerged in East Africa approximately 150,000 years ago, from where humans gradually migrated across the globe. Harari, 2011. Similarly, Sheikh Anta Diop and historian Kemet Kush situate human origins in Ethiopia and neighboring regions, between 100,000 and 200,000 years ago. Diop, 1981, Kush, 1999. From this cradle, humans carried not only the tools of survival but also the seeds of culture, governance, and spirituality, shaping the very foundations of civilization itself. As Professor Ivan van Sertima notes, the first fully modern humans, the Grimaldi stage, remained in East Africa for hundreds of thousands of years before venturing outward into Europe, Asia, and beyond. Sertima, 1987. By roughly 55,000 years ago, Africans had begun populating Europe, where no humans had previously settled, only apes roamed its forests and grasslands. These early Africans were not passive migrants, they were carriers of knowledge, skill, and culture. With them went innovations in stone tools, agricultural techniques, architectural designs, and even spiritual practices which would later influence global civilizations. Migration, therefore, was never merely physical. It was intellectual and cultural. African populations transported the very essence of human ingenuity. Stone tools refined for efficiency and survival, agricultural knowledge that transformed barren lands into fertile fields, architectural techniques that influenced Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, and later urban centers, early spiritual practices which laid the foundation for religious traditions worldwide. Yet, for centuries, history has misrepresented Africa as a land of primitive peoples. This narrative obscures the profound sophistication of African civilizations, Ethiopia and the Nubian region, advanced metallurgy, long-distance trade, complex urban planning, and monumental architecture. Egypt, engineering marvels such as the pyramids, advances in medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and the codification of written language. Aksum, among the first Christian kingdoms, demonstrating mastery in architecture, engineering, and governance. Mali and the Dogon, philosophical systems, sophisticated astronomical observations, and social structures of remarkable depth. Lalibela, churches carved from solid rock, showcasing human ingenuity and devotion intertwined. Africa was not merely inhabited, it innovated, educated, and guided the course of human progress. Many historical figures were African or deeply influenced by African heritage. Imhotep, architect of Djoser's Step Pyramid, physician, and visionary advisor whose methods anticipated modern medical and architectural practices. Queen Hatshepsut, Egypt's remarkable female pharaoh, innovator in early chemical contraceptives, whose legacy shaped medicine and governance. Medieval African scholars and philosophers, preservers and transmitters of Egyptian and Greek knowledge, bridging civilizations. Bilal ibn Rabah, first muezzin, whose devotion, intellect, and moral character symbolize Africa's contribution to faith and ethics. For centuries, Africa has been misrepresented as a primitive land. Yet scientific and historical evidence affirms otherwise. Modern humans emerged fully formed in Africa. Complex spiritual, social, and technological systems flourished for thousands of years. Africans were the first settlers of Europe and Asia, carrying knowledge, culture, and spiritual insight wherever they traveled. Professor Ivan van Sertima explains that differences in skin color, hair texture, or facial features arose as environmental adaptations during migrations. They are not markers of intellectual, moral, or creative hierarchy. Sertima, 1987. In fact, he emphasizes that all humans today share a single African ancestry, a mother from whom every lineage descends. The anatomical, neurological, and genetic evidence underscores that Africa provided the founding population of the human species. This biological fact harmonizes with Africa's cultural and intellectual legacy. The continent shaped humanity not only in body but also in mind and spirit. Africa is not merely the cradle of humanity, it is the historical mother of civilization. Every continent owes its first humans to Africa. Every culture, every philosophy, every religion carries traces of African influence. African achievements underpin governance, spiritual ethics, medicine, architecture, mathematics, and early scientific exploration. And yet, much of this knowledge has been obscured, misrepresented, or forgotten, until now. This series will explore the remarkable and often hidden contributions of Africa to humanity. Religious legacies, from the worship of Amun-Ra to the stories of Abraham, Moses, Bilal, and the spiritual frameworks that shaped Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. African civilizations were the incubators of religious thought, ethical principles, and sacred philosophy that informed the world's great faiths. Scientific contributions. Early medicine, advanced engineering, astronomy, mathematics, and educational systems emerged in Africa long before they appeared elsewhere. From the precise geometry of the pyramids to early calendars and medical texts, African innovations laid the foundation for universal human knowledge. Global migrations. Africans were the first to populate Europe, Asia, and the Americas, carrying with them the tools, skills, and cultural practices that would seed civilizations across the globe. Their migrations are not only movements of bodies but also migrations of thought, belief, and knowledge. Correcting historical misconceptions. By examining the archaeological, genetic, and linguistic evidence, we can dispel myths of inferiority and recognize Africa's true role as the origin of humanity and civilization. Africa, the land of origins, is where the human story begins. Here, humanity first walked, first built, first wondered, and first dreamed. Here, civilization and spirituality were intertwined in a tapestry of innovation, morality, and creative expression. Understanding this legacy is not merely academic, it is essential for appreciating the full scope of human history. To acknowledge Africa as the birthplace of humanity is to recognize the interconnectedness of all people, the shared ancestry that binds us, and the enduring contributions of African civilizations to global culture and knowledge. In our journey, we will also explore the richness of African intellectual history. The architects, mathematicians, astronomers, philosophers, and leaders whose contributions were monumental. From Imhotep's architectural genius to Hatshepsut's visionary governance, from medieval African scholars preserving ancient knowledge to modern pioneers in science and exploration, Africa's intellectual and creative footprint is undeniable. Africa is also the source of some of humanity's earliest moral and spiritual teachings. Ethical principles, codes of conduct, and frameworks for justice were first articulated in African societies, forming the moral compass that would resonate across centuries and continents. The first humans not only survived, they reflected on existence, devised solutions, and created meaning, ensuring that Africa's contributions to humanity extend far beyond biology. Every aspect of the human experience, from our earliest tools to our deepest spiritual reflections, carries the imprint of Africa. Recognizing this truth allows us to see human history in its entirety, a story of migration, innovation, and cultural continuity, originating from a single source. And yet, despite this monumental heritage, Africa's role has often been minimized or misrepresented. Our series seeks to restore the full story, to honor the continent that nurtured humanity, and to illuminate the achievements of African civilizations. It is a story of pride, of knowledge, and of reverence for the wisdom that shaped the world. As we continue this journey, we invite you to reflect on the shared legacy that connects us all. Africa, the land of origins, gave birth to humanity and civilization. Its history is not just African history, it is the history of every human being alive today. By understanding this story, we reclaim a narrative that has too long been hidden, and we celebrate the continent that has given so much to the world. Join us in uncovering the truth. Subscribe to Wisdom at the Land of Origins, like this video, and turn on notifications to continue exploring humanity's incredible journey from Africa to the world. Each episode will illuminate a new chapter of human history, tracing the footsteps of our ancestors and uncovering the knowledge, innovations, and spiritual insights that connect us across time and space. Remember, to know humanity fully, we must return to its roots. And the roots of humanity led us to one extraordinary place, Africa, the land of origins. Welcome to Wisdom at the Land of Origins, where history, spirituality, and science converge to tell the complete story of our shared beginnings.